Good evening. I think we are already having quite a few audience members joining us on Facebook and also on YouTube. Very glad to receive you all here today at PPA Live in Hong Kong. We are having a discussion session with some remarkable guests and of course host as well today, whom I'll introduce in a short moment. First, welcome you all again to PPA, and we are having a very special night, a musical sharing with Paul Phoenix and Vivian Ip. Let me first introduce our guests tonight. On our side, on my side, Vivian Ip. Yeah, actually, you can say something.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah,
good evening.
We're quite casual.
Or good afternoon if you're in another part of the world.
Yes, of course. Vivian Ip, she is an active choral and orchestral conductor, and she has worked with and performed in Hong Kong and internationally, such as in the USA and as well as in Europe. Currently, she is the music director of Singer Symphony Orchestra, and where she led the orchestra to win the Gold Award at the 6th World Orchestra Festival in Vienna in 2018, and where she also received the Talented Conductor Prize. She was also the winner of special prize in the 6th International Competition for Young Choral Conductors in 2011. In July 2019, last year, which was, she was invited to conduct the Asian Pacific Youth Choir, which consists of 40 selected singers from different Asian Pacific countries. Let's give a warm welcome to Vivian.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
Welcome.
And on my far further side, it's Paul. Paul is the founder and executive director of the Paul Phoenix Academy in Hong Kong. He's a former tenor, if you don't already know, of King Singers, where he performed averaging more than 120 concerts annually. He has sung in many of the world's greatest concert halls, performance venues, from Sydney Opera House to Carnegie Hall in New York, and traveled as far as Chile and New Zealand, Russia, China, and South Africa.
Alaska.
Alaska as well, yes, of course. His work as founder of Purple Vocals continues to take him around the world in coaching, performing, and in inspiring the next generations with his experience and knowledge in music. Let's give a warm welcome to Paul.
Thank you. Thanks. Great to have you along. Please ask your questions. Anything you'd like to ask us, we're here to respond to your questions. Allow me to introduce my friend.
I get an introduction.
Ernest Hoy.
Okay.
I can't let it go any further without introducing Ernest. Whilst I'm the face of PPA, I think I need someone with a higher IQ than I to be right behind me. And this is the guy who looks after me nearly every day, advising me, helping me, pointing me in the right direction. We exchange ideas. We try and inspire each other.
We do.
We talk about, as we launch new ideas and new initiatives at PPA, I'm the person that's responsible for delivering those ideas to our clients, to our students, and to new members. But behind that, there needs to be some kind of IP, some intellectual property, which although I have lots and lots of experience, I often need help to articulate that. And so we've become a really unbeatable team, I think.
Yes.
And I would take you anywhere in the world to work with me at any time.
Alaska.
Yeah, it's been a while. But
Iceland, maybe.
oh yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yes, of course. Well, so we're really glad today to have such remarkable panel here, and we'll discuss, almost anything about music, and to let you know more about the music scene in Hong Kong, internationally even, and of course about our first anniversary online music festival, which sits at back here I'm sure you're able to see that.
Shall we talk a little bit about that first?
Oh, why
given
not? Why not?
given that that's the inspiration behind this evening, and
Absolutely.
and also with Vivian. Vivian and I are old friends. We've known each other now for about 35 minutes, although we're connected by social media, and I'm so thrilled that Vivian is able to join me not only here this evening but also as my fellow jury member in the PPA International Online Music Festival. We're celebrating, as many of you know, the music of, in my opinion, one of the greatest living composers of choral music, and that is John Rutter. I have met John a number of times. I can tell you from my heart, he is the most wonderful, humble, down-to-earth gentleman, and I use the term gentleman. He not only writes beautiful music, but he gives people the opportunity to celebrate in his music by being so approachable and open in his writing style, and also by being so generous with his time. He responded to my invitation to be part of this festival within 4 hours of writing to him. I was absolutely thrilled that John agreed to take part. I am absolutely thrilled that we chose to celebrate John's 75th birthday by exclusively featuring John Rutter's music in this festival. There's one very good reason to do that, apart from the fact that guy writes a fine tune, and they're just going around in my head all the time. Another reason to do it is to champion the music of a true gentleman, but also the music is, as I've mentioned, not only accessible, but it has such a universal appeal, and it's potentially life-changing for people that are taking part. We have launched the festival also in China, and in China we're really hoping that people will embrace John's music even wider than he's already known. So the dissemination of his music will go further and further and further, because he deserves it.
Yeah,
that music deserves a wider and wider audience. And we're just thrilled that John's taking part. And Vivian and I have been chatting a little bit about the way that we'll be reviewing the uploaded videos for the festival. And if you're thinking about it, if you're tuning in right now and you're just thinking about whether or not you want to be involved, we've made it as easy as possible, but we have set certain ground rules. And one of those rules which we feel passionately about is the idea that we have to support music publishing as well as music composition. It's very easy for people to take a copy of music, an original copy, or a Xeroxed copy, a photocopy, and go and copy it again. And that rather misses the point of supporting composers and their livelihoods. And so we're very clear that we want people to be in possession of original copies. But apart from that, knock yourself out, because if you're a soloist, if you're a small group, if you're a family group, and I know that we have some family groups already that are preparing here as PPA students, although in order to create a level playing field, I'm keeping it at a distance and making sure that I'm able to review in an impartial way later on. But we're really making it as easy as we possibly can for as many people as possible to be involved in this festival, to upload their music, to be the best version of themselves, to enjoy the fact that wherever they are, whatever they're doing, all you need is a smartphone with a camera on it to upload your music, and of course an original score. So Vivian, I really want to ask you about your feelings about John Rutter's music, what it means to you, because I know it means so much to us here, because it just seems to be echoing around the walls of our academy every single day. But what does it mean to you?
It means a lot to me too, because I grew up in children's choir, and children's choir led me into the world of music, and it's because of being in the choir that made me chose to be a professional musician and to be a conductor. And in Hong Kong, I think I don't think anyone who has been in a children's choir hasn't sung any John Rutter.
Yeah.
I think every one of us has sung John Rutter. And it's not only in the concert hall. I mean, his music is so memorable and comforting that we also sing it, like, even if we're touring and we on the bus we do it,
Yeah.
or okay, it's just after rehearsal we travel together back home and then we sing it on the bus. And so it's music that
It's just in there all the time.
Yeah.
May the Lord show his mercy upon you. May the light of his presence be your guide. That's been going around in my head all day. Not in a horrible way, in a good way. It's just there. And I was reminded, looking at the score for a piece where the title somehow doesn't even match the quality of the words and the music. A Clare Benediction. John Rutter is a graduate of Clare College, Cambridge. And it wasn't until, I hate to admit this, but it wasn't until yesterday that I looked at the score that I realised that John not only wrote the music to A Clare Benediction, but also the words. And the words are beautiful. They're so inspiring. May he guard all your loved ones and cherish them. Every friend, every stranger at your door. They're just beautiful, beautiful words. And I think you'll agree with me, Vivian.
Yeah.
That's why it means
Yeah.
so much to us.
And I remember when I sang it when I was younger, I understood all the words, but it doesn't speak so much to my heart back then because I didn't think so much about it. But now when I grow up, I look at the score again. I mean, I remember the words again, and especially in such a time. And this soothing. It gives us comfort, gives us hope, and encourages us.
Yeah. As professional musicians, the three of us, we all know firsthand, to varying degrees and in different circumstances, how challenging the last, 1 year has been, but especially the year of 2020. It absolutely breaks my heart to know that there are professional musicians who are giving up, great professional musicians who are giving up because they can't work anymore. And everybody is shifting their content and their intellectual property, their teaching, whatever. It's all going on online. And we're no exception, because the only way of facilitating this festival, especially internationally, is to invite people to upload music. But what we've done, and I hope it's successful, with this festival, is we're inviting people in their homes to sing. All right, you might need a piano, but if you've got someone that can play a piano and someone that can sing, and you know a Rutter piece, or you've ordered one online, then you can upload a song. And I think this festival is unique in that if you do that and you do a good performance, you're going to get personalised feedback, not only from Vivian and from myself, but from the great composer himself, John Rutter. And many people have used the term in their feedback about this festival, great initiative. And to hear that said about this festival, I'm not patting myself on the back about this. I'm trying, and we try daily, to think of initiatives, of ways of engaging people with music at the toughest of times. So equally, not only to celebrate John's 75th birthday and our first anniversary, but also to give people this opportunity to sing uplifting, inspiring music is incredibly important at a time like this. And I hope as many of you as possible will agree with that, but also want to be involved.
Before we go too far, may I invite audience, every one of you again, to comment on it in the section and to like our Facebook page, as well as Vivian. Yep, she has a Facebook page,
Please.
too, which we'll put up in the comment section as well. We'll welcome any kind of questions about our music making in Hong Kong, festival, or about the professional experiences
Indeed, yeah.
which you perhaps would like to know more about. To go on, Vivian and Paul has talked about how they share experiences with John Rutter's music, which is so heartwarming and give us hope at this special time, this difficult time in 2020. Let's talk about something else. Let's say if a student, if a student aspires to be a musician, and like they want to be a conductor, or maybe a singer, or maybe a composer, I don't know. And this is a music festival. So what does a music festival mean to them? So what could you say to them about like participating in a music festival?
I think as an aspired student, it's important to take every opportunity. Because each opportunity opens a new door, and each opportunity also gives you the time, the chance to meet new people, and so it's a two-way thing. On one hand, from each festival, from each challenge you take, it helps you to improve yourself, to as Paul just said before, to give the best of you, to show the best of you. And on the other hand, you see other people, or you meet others, and then you get new inspiration from it. So don't be shy, just go out to the world. Okay, now unfortunately not literally really going out, we cannot really travel, but at least the internet now is so developed, and this is another consolidation, let's say, that we can still share music.
We don't used to have this kind of thing when we were younger.
No, well, I'm the oldest by miles, sadly.
Yes.
But you're right, and I think that first things first, we're running a business here at PPA. So in running a business, 2020 has been a challenging year, especially for a startup business. But we are constantly thinking of ways to try and engage people, not just in Hong Kong, but internationally. And so to go to the root of the question about aspiring young musicians, and also to echo what Vivian has said about embrace new opportunities because it opens doors and you never know where it's going to lead you. Of course, there's a way here in that you might be uploading a video with no idea what the benchmark standard is, with no idea what other people's videos are going to sound like. But if you're following this festival carefully, you will see, and it's been a surprise and delight thing for me, that when I haven't been here or I've been popping out for lunch or something like that, we've got one or two of our students orchestrated by my assistant Andrew Leung, who I seem to have more than one right-hand man, woman, whatever. There's Pat, who's behind the camera here, our general manager. I couldn't do it without her. I couldn't do it without you. And I couldn't do it without Andrew, my assistant. And these students have just been recording a minute or so of music at Andrew's suggestion. And I've watched a couple of them in the past few days, and they're really good. They're really good, because whatever you're looking for, whatever we're looking for, you can tell these people are being the best version of themselves. They're giving 100%. Now, I'll tell you a story which I hope will lead towards this idea of talking about professionalism. And that is that earlier today we had a 12-year-old student come to us. His voice is broken. He's one of my favourite students. He's a great lad. We always chat about different things, about what's happening at school, sport, cycling. It's just great. It's great. So we have an all-round kind of education. And he started singing a piece, not Rutter, but a piece. And he got through the piece, and I decided that the way I'd frame my comments back to him was around, okay, my friend, if you were going to score yourself out of 100 for this, what would you score yourself at? And he said, 70 to 80? Right, okay. So I asked Andrew, and I said, don't tell me, just indicate. So Andrew indicated 60 to me, and I was, I said I was a bit of a grumpy juror. I was 55. So I said to this lad, I said, 55, mate. But then we talked about the percentage that you're actually giving to performance. And this is what I was really looking for, is I knew that there was so much more in this young guy than he was actually giving. And by the end of the session, we just slowly raised his confidence and drawn it out of him. And this is the thing that I want to make as the key point to stress to people that are watching, that have professional aspiration, that want to go into the music industry. And that is that in order to be successful, you need a combination of skills. You need luck, but you can make luck. But you need a combination of skills. And the combination of skills is based around one word: temperament. If you know how to present yourself, if you know about performance, if you know about how to deal with good stuff and bad stuff, which will happen to you in your career, it's happened to me, then you'll survive, you'll find ways of dealing with it, and you'll also find a way of existing. You will find it. But it's temperament. It's that ability to take the knocks, the ability always to be the best version of yourself and not to be afraid. Because if you hide behind yourself, you're not being true to yourself. You have to be the best version of yourself. And that takes a lot of hard work and it takes courage. But I would never ever discourage anybody from going into the music industry. Because whilst it's challenging times in the music industry, let's face it, folks, it's challenging everywhere right now. So follow your heart, be the best version of yourself, keep trying, and don't be afraid to ask for help.
Yes, of course. Would you like to address? No. What about? Let me come back to the audience first. Let me remind you once again, we're open to comment and questions especially. So if you have anything to ask Paul or Vivian
or Ernest,
even myself, you're so welcome to comment or even share our live session to your friends and let them know about PPA and let them know about the music festival which is coming up quite soon.
Deadlines.
Deadlines.
Application deadline, November 10th.
Yeah.
Upload deadline,
It's
November 20th. Yeah.
Well, Vivian, actually, side note, actually, I have the privilege to sing alongside Vivian when I was so much younger, and we were choristers in the Hong Kong Children's Choir. When you said, well, we were on trip on the bus, we used to sing John Rutter on the bus together, and that brings back a lot of memories indeed. I'm sure you traveled far and wide as a musician and as conductor and as adjudicator for different kind of festivals. Can you tell us what you look for in a good performance? And what makes a performance an excellent one, a performance that stands out from all else?
I think on one hand, I have to again echo Paul, because if a person is giving the best of him or herself, one can sense that. You can sense the confidence.
Even on video.
Yeah. And you can sense the confidence. And if that person is comfortable with themselves, if they truly believe in what they're doing. And I think it's about communication. Although, of course, it seems silly to say, I'm watching it in a camera. I mean, what kind of communication is that? But somehow you can still imagine, I mean, there will be an audience anyway.
We can tell.
Yes. And so it's about how you show yourself. Yes, actually, how you show yourself. Yes, you see in the performance the real personality. It doesn't have to be a standard personality. Sometimes, especially when I was younger, you tend to imagine. So this is the imagined best way, or best version of something, and you try to pretend or try very hard to be like that. But then, at the end, what touches people's heart is the true self. One can be someone who is quiet and timid, but calm maybe, and you see in her or his performance the calmness in it, and that touches you. Or then another performance is energetic, and that also touches you. So don't try to be someone who you are not, but be yourself, and of course the understanding of the music itself. So it's a communication with the audience, of course, and you with the music when you're preparing it. Like how much you can tell the audience about what the composer actually wants.
And one thing we've been very clear about in our tips and hints for potential participants is that with a composer like John Rutter, he's very clear with his instructions to the performers. I love what you're saying about be yourself. One of the things that I say to many, many of our students is sing with the voice you were given, don't try and sound like somebody else. That's one of the reasons I'm not a big fan of the kind of X Factor talent shows, because there are people that are desperate to be like someone else. They're desperate to sound like someone else. They want somebody else's life. I don't want anybody else's life. I'm quite okay with my own life. I do miss my wife, my kids, and my dog. But apart from that, I'm still here. I'm still alive. I'm still doing what I'm passionate about and love every single day.
I'm sure they're watching. No?
Highly unlikely. The dog might be. One thing I would say. Yeah. One thing I would say about the performance and how you can approach your performance is please don't forget as you prepare that you shouldn't just be led by the sound that you're making, because John's original words, or the words that he chooses, are so well matched to the tunes, to the chords, to the music that he writes. And I think that's a very, very important point. I was reminded of that because if you're friends with me on Facebook, you can scroll down a couple of stories and you'll see a link from a recital that I did at the Chinese University of Hong Kong on Monday lunchtime. And I sang one of John's pieces for the very, very first time, Gaelic Blessing. And I had to use the music for it because I just hadn't had time to memorize it and I hadn't sung it before. But I was very, very powerfully reminded that John has written something which really, really echoes the words and not just a beautiful tune. And many singers, especially students of singing, are pretty obsessed with the sound that they make. And I have this concept that I talk to my students about a lot, which is, I call it auditing. It's where they suffer from this thing where the world around them is all based around listening to their sound and analysing it themselves as they produce the sound. And auditing leads to another concept that I've introduced to my students, which is called TSD. It's called terminal slowing down. TSD. Because when you audit sound, you audit it in real time, and it just gets you slower and slower and slower. So follow the composer's instructions, enjoy your sound by all means, but try and be led by the words, not just the sound. Deep peace of the running wave to you, deep peace of the running wave. And it'll be one of my future hints, deep peace. I can hear the words of my St. Paul's Cathedral choir master echoing in my brain right now, Mr. Barry Rose. Barry, I hope you're watching. there are two P's. Deep peace of the running wave to you. It isn't wave to you, because you wouldn't say wave to you. You wouldn't say that. You wouldn't say it. Sing it like you'd say it, but be really clear with your text. Because it isn't de-peace, it's deep peace. Text, sound, the right combination. Enjoy.
And I think it's really so important that text gives, I mean, the composer gets his inspiration at first from the text, and text is really at least 50% of the music.
Mm.
And yeah, the whole interpretation, the whole presentation has to be everything.
It's got to be right, but don't let anything that we're saying intimidate you to be thinking that you're not good enough to do it. You are. You just have to be a bit brave. We're going to be spending a bit of time together, aren't we, in the coming weeks, reviewing videos, and we will review everybody's video upload with exactly the same criteria, but we have already spoken about it, that we have to review everybody's performance from a very, very positive angle, because we recognise the effort, the time that you've put in into creating this. And whatever you create, it's unique for you.
And then I think we all hope that when you're creating it, you enjoy the process and you gain from it, from the experience, from making music with your family or with your friends, and like finally you can meet and sing together live. Or if you're singing solo as well, feel the text, feel the music, and let the music speak to you in this special time, special year.
Yeah, I think music making or singing and has been really different in 2020.
Yeah. Please, could next year be different?
Oh, yes.
Could we try and get back to the way it used to be a bit?
Yeah.
Please.
I think we all
Yeah.
wish, the same.
Yeah.
But well, can you tell us more about what do you think music making in the future or in the near future will be? Because like it has been such change, tremendous change in 2020. I'm sure everyone in the world feels quite the same, and we in Hong Kong are no different. What do you think of, or what do you think about when you think of music making, especially in times like this? What does it mean to you?
Music making now becomes a bit more personal, let's say, because I mean, I grew up in ensemble music making, and I mean, being a conductor, I mean, I need a group to work with me, but unfortunately now, I mean, sometimes we try to do some virtual stuff, but it's completely different.
Yeah.
But like I try to use the time when I have to be alone to still do music, and even through the internet, I'm still trying to connect with people. We may not be able to make music exactly at the same time, but I think when you hear each other's videos and sharing, you can sense how much music means to everyone. And
I think it's supporting people's mental health to a degree.
Yeah. And you see videos, and actually it encourages you to keep going, even though you don't know when this situation will end. But we try to grab every opportunity to treasure each moment that when live music is possible, live music making is possible, do it. Yeah. To live now.
Yeah. Gosh, it's a great question. It's a fantastic answer. How long have you got? This has been such a strange year. It's been such a strange time in all of our lives. I think, first of all, I would say that on the days when I feel not so positive, I have to remind myself that it's really pretty irrelevant how I feel, because there are many, many, many more people in a much worse situation than me, whose lives have been torn apart by the COVID crisis, and whose livelihoods have been torn apart as well. And we're still hanging on here. But then there are other things, and I have to speak from the heart really, which is that if we're talking about the music industry, and I think about my friends, and I think especially about my friends in the King Singers, and my friends in Voces 8, and let's take those two groups. I'll start with the King Singers. I really applaud the virtual tour that they're doing. Same with the music festival that Voces 8 have been running, because that's part of, like it or not, our musical future. I think it's going to take a long time before audiences feel confident enough to be sitting as close even as you and I are now, and in our smallish studio and our waiting area here, we are keeping a bit of separation between us, and even this is relatively close compared to people in concert halls. So on one hand, you'll have this lack of confidence, therefore reality, lack of revenue coming through and allowing people to perform live, go on tour. On another level, it'll prevent concerts from happening in the first place. My great pal, Michael McGlynn, who runs Anuna, again, Michael, if you're watching this, you're such a top guy, and I've loved working with you. He was telling me about a tour that he was hoping to go on later this year. The promoter had approached him saying, well, we've only got 50% of budget now because of social distancing. That is if it's still happening. And his reaction was, because he's a very pragmatic, down-to-earth guy, well, okay, I'll bring 50% of my singers then, because that's the only way that they can make it work. Quarantine, having been through quarantine, so have you, very recently in the last month. It's good for the soul. That's all I can say, really. I've got used in the past months to spending time on my own, and for someone that really likes hanging out with his mates and being sociable, it's been pretty rubbish. But it is what it is, and I'm reminding myself every day that there are people in a much worse situation than myself. And thank goodness for my phone, where 2 or 3 times a day I can speak to Helena, I can wave to my dog, speak to my kids, Thank goodness for that, because if this had happened 20 years ago, I think it would have been a crisis which would have been magnified even more by the fact that the world in those days felt like it was a bigger place, not a smaller place. My early days in the King Singers were, we communicated with our management not by email, but it was by fax, because I'm a dinosaur, and I remember that really well. And thank goodness it is as it is now, because we've got instantaneous access to things, which, forgive me rambling on, but therefore that instantaneous stuff is good, because it means that people can access music and uplifting music instantaneously. And if you don't like it, you press pause, or you just go somewhere else and find something else. I found a song the other day by one of my favourite bands, the 1975. It's on their latest album. It's towards the end of the album, and when you're in love and you don't know what you're going through, it just comes into my mind now, and it's absolutely beautiful. God, I would really love to sing that song and just record it and send it to Helena, because it just sums up, on that particular day, it just summed up how I felt. I have to get my friend Dominic Lamb just to improvise it for me so I can just send it to Helena, and we can both cry in our beer.
Well, we get some comments from our audience. Tommy from Indonesia.
Oh, okay. Hello, Tommy.
All the best, Sir Paul Phoenix.
Thank you. Thank you.
We have,
Great to have you here. Thank you, Tomianto.
We have Riverman.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Is sending a clapping.
Yep. Thank you.
emoji.
Same to you.
And Gary.
Ah, Gary, my dear friend.
Is watching from Paris, Kentucky.
Paris, Kentucky.
Yes.
Thanks,
says
Gary.
Thank you. And he has a question for both of you, actually. So, what is the most technically difficult piece of music you have ever performed? Is there such a piece?
Yeah.
Oh.
Shall I answer first? Because I know
Yeah.
exactly what
Yeah,
it is.
Okay.
Okay, Gary, thanks for the question. I was very, very lucky in 2017 to be invited by Craig Jessup, formerly conductor of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, to sing the role of evangelist in Bach's St. Matthew Passion in English with the American Festival Chorus. It's the first time I'd sung the role of evangelist, and I'd managed to put it off for about 20 years because I was too busy when I was in the King Singers to accept offers to sing evangelist, and I'd run out of excuses. And I met with Craig in Cambridge in about 2015, and he said, I'd love to invite you to do this when we do this project out in Utah. 2 performances, one was on Maundy Thursday, and the other was on Good Friday. Actually, with 2 performances of the role of evangelist within about 17 hours. It was pretty tough. But that's the most technically difficult role I've done. And I'll tell you why. Because as well as being a storyteller and as well as having an awful lot to sing and requiring the stamina and the intensity to get through, if it's performed at concert pitch, well, it's higher even at baroque pitch, but if it's performed at concert pitch, it's super high. And I spent a long time preparing for that performance and finding a way to do it. And I'm really thankful that I was given the opportunity, because it was a successful performance and I was the best version of myself, thank you. And I would do it again in a heartbeat, although I'd have to spend a long time practicing it again. I'm glad it was in English, because I think if it had been in German, which I don't speak fluently, I can order a takeaway in German. I think I would have found it much more difficult. So the fact that Robert Shaw's edition was there and Craig had decided he wanted to use that, which I think was a great idea for the demographic and nationality of the audience.
True.
It was the right thing to do, and it was a great challenge, but I relished the opportunity. Thank you, Craig.
Some exciting experience you had.
Yeah.
Vivian?
I think it was once when I was a singer in a choir, when I was singing in the Schönberg Chor in Vienna, and it was like, so the piece, I'm so sorry that I already forgot the still living composer, but the piece itself was challenging, but then we were outdoor and it was extremely windy day, and with such a challenging piece for the years, and you don't, and the whole sound was just absorbed by the whole environment, and it was really
Nearly
confusing.
impossible.
Yeah.
Sounds like a nightmare.
Very confusing. But we just hope maybe the audience, I don't know,
Did you pull through the performance?
yeah, I think
Was
we
it-
came until the end, but
Okay.
yeah.
Nobody's listening, so it's okay. Did it matter if you made a mistake? Would anyone have noticed? Fair enough. It's like singing Ligeti in the King Singers. Singing Ligeti's music, talking of technically
Adorable
challenging.
Ligeti.
Yeah. That was pretty difficult. We did a concert quite early in my time in the King Singers in, I think it was Osnabrück in Germany, where we performed, we were part of a concert which was all Ligeti and avant-garde music. And we were guests in that concert. And we performed his nonsense madrigals, which he'd written for the King Singers. And
It was a nice piece.
Off
Yeah.
with her head. Count, lost. Where am I? It was really difficult music,
Yes.
and again, I mean, I was certainly not perfect, as my former colleagues will testify, but we found a way of performing those pieces, but it was very, very difficult because in that particular performance, early in my time, Ligeti was still alive and he was there, and we put a lot of rehearsal into it, and our slot in that concert was immediately before the interval, and we went into the green room having done a really good performance and probably one of the more accurate performances of music, which was really, really difficult, very difficult to get right. And there was a knock at the door and Ligeti came in and he basically tore us to pieces. And we thought we were high-fiving each other after the performance, and we were in the green room. Yeah, great job, Ligeti.
I wish you would sing chords and tunes.
We were. Give us a break.
Oh.
I'll never forget that. I'm going to write a book one day, I think. Some of my adventures.
We all have had times like this in our musical life,
Mm.
I'm sure.
Oh, music live. Oh, all of the things that could go wrong. Just don't tell anyone. Oh.
Well, Rutter's pieces, on the other hand,
Nice tunes.
Nice tunes, yeah. So I don't think anyone would say Rutter's pieces are immensely difficult. He has written some more challenging choral works.
Yeah.
Well, some are less well known, but if you know about his music, if you know him well, I'm sure you know also that Rutter's music is not just one Rutter style. He's actually very, very flexible in writing music, and he has a very broad range of styles which he's capable of writing.
Could I tell you how I got to know John a little bit?
Please do.
It's not really musically related. John lives near Cambridge in England, which is where my family home is as well. And on 2 occasions, quite close together, during my time in the King Singers, I was going shopping with Helena in Cambridge and parking my car. And on 2 occasions, about 3 cars away, I'm getting out of my car, Helena's getting out, there's John Rutter getting out of his car. And he looked at me and he said, "Oh, hello, Paul. Good to see you in the country. Where have you been?" And that happened twice, quite close together. And he was so friendly, so warm. And the thing that I'll always remember about it was that he wasn't just talking to me, he was talking to Helena. So such humanity. And chatting with my wife and making her feel a part of it. And it's that lack of pretension, it's just the humility, the approachability, which shines through like a beacon in his music. And I think that's what great people are like.
Absolutely. I think singing students or vocal students who are going to participate in this festival, some of them might find challenges here and there in Rutter's music. So while we were talking about difficulties in making music, sometimes we have to perform difficult music. How do we cope with making music when we find certain passages which are difficult, or how do we cope with stage fright?
For cope with problems, I think making music is also a creative process. So I think we should not limit ourselves into the ways we always know or we have heard. We sometimes can try to imagine or create some different ways to solve the same problem. And sometimes if you're stuck here, you go do something else, come back, and sometimes the problem could be solved itself. Don't get drilled too much in getting through one difficult place, I would say.
That's very wise.
I talk about stage fright. I think the day that we lose that anxiety, that edge of anxiety before you go on to perform, is probably a good day for you to give up, to hang up your vocal cords for good. I sang on Monday. I did a 40-minute recital. I had a rehearsal a week ago, last Friday, and with my friend Dominic Lamb. The rehearsal was a very levelling experience for me, because it was during that rehearsal I realised, when I was singing the 10 pieces that I sang on Monday, that it was getting on for 9 months or something, 10 months, since I'd actually sung in a concert, because of what's been happening in the world. Not because people haven't asked. And suddenly I was singing all of these pieces back to back, and I was absolutely exhausted after an hour's rehearsal. And it's not to say I don't use my voice every day and I don't sing every day, but it was the physiological process of going through these different pieces, one after the other. And over last weekend, Saturday and Sunday, when I was teaching, we had a full day of teaching on Saturday and half a day on Sunday, I was really preserving, making sure that I was hydrated, preserving my voice, making sure that I went to bed early, avoided alcohol, woke up on Monday morning fresh, so I could deliver the best of myself. But it didn't stop my anxiety at wanting to do well. But I need to tell you, if you worry about performing, and stage fright can even include standing in front of a smartphone and someone pressing record for the video.
Yes.
It makes you freeze. Don't. You've got this. One lesson that the King Singers taught me, which is a real sink or swim job, was if you're singing your own part, you have to trust yourself. In order to trust yourself, you probably have to do a bit of practice. And there aren't shortcuts to that. You just find a way of doing it, talking specifically about the King Singers. But if you're preparing a performance and you're anxious about a performance, a little bit of anxiety is okay. It's okay. It's okay to be anxious because you want to do well. But please don't beat yourselves up. Be the best version of yourself. Enjoy your sound. Enjoy the text, remember. And try and relax into a performance. This thing of trusting yourself, I knew I had to do it. And so if I know that I'm in control of that, I can deliver a good performance. I trust myself because I practiced. So I'm going to walk out, and I'm not suddenly in unknown territory where I can't cope with it because I've been there before. So I'm going to stand there, and I'm going to make sure I do what I know how to do, which is to stand there and sing. And if I can do that and be very consistent and very calm, then something else will be added to the performance in the moment, which is that interaction with an audience, virtual or real. And if I can do that, be a storyteller, and follow my instincts, then I'm going to be okay, because I have faith.
I have one point to add. I also think that at that moment, the more you think about anxiety, the more you are afraid of it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the strongest concentration to be put on just the music, to really focus on what you already practiced and focus on the moment, how you want to deliver the music. And then probably, hopefully, you'll forget stuff that, the anxiety that affects you. Just be in the music and spend all your energy in what you're actually doing.
Don't fall into the paralysis of fear, because fear does paralyze. Fear is that fight or flight thing. Just don't be paralyzed by fear. Trust yourself.
These are some really wise and encouraging words indeed. Thank you, Paul and Vivian. Well, we're almost coming to an end of our discussion. A bit.
I told you we wouldn't be short of stuff to talk about.
I was quite certain about that. So I received some private messages as well. Some choir members, some choir students, they're saying that this is a very meaningful sharing, and they
Thank you.
they like
Thank
what
you so
you've been
much.
telling for the audience about. So to as a closing, can you tell us about something about your daily life, your daily on daily basis? What do you do as a professional musician? Is making music the only thing you do, or is there anything you'd like to do other than making music?
I think especially in this this year, 2020,
Yes,
when
absolutely.
when so much has been cancelled, then I try to do. I mean, I have the time to do some other things, and I realize how much different things actually inspires me of music making. I relax more. I don't worry so much about what is coming up, and I read. I listen to like pop music that I usually didn't. I didn't do for quite a while, and then I got new inspiration. I used to do exercise. I exercise to release stress and to build stamina. The quarantine time, actually, I was lazy. Then I actually did not do that. And then when I was not allowed to leave, because I mean, I really liked jogging, because jogging during the time I can think, or I can let my brain to be completely empty.
Yep.
And then
Then it fills afterwards.
Exactly.
Or you become creative whilst you're
Exactly.
running. I can talk about
yeah.
that.
Pity that I loved it, but I think it's absolutely worth to pick it up again
Okay.
when, yeah. Now
It's important to be like mentally healthy as well
Yeah.
during this.
It's never been more
difficult times.
important than it is
Mm.
now. I'm echoing that. I really like that question about daily life. I don't have a routine because every day is different. Every day is structured differently, but there are certain things that I do, and I do regularly. I have my bike here, and I ride my bike. So a couple of days ago, I rode 64k from Tunman to Tai Wai. And the only way to get to know that route is to get lost a bit and to follow the cycle lane. I've done it 3 times in the last 3 weeks. Done little deviations along the way. I've been to nearly China, and I've had a really good time doing it. Exercise. I've got 2 things that really motivate me in life, apart from speaking to my family, which is a given for me, and being close to them every day. I've got 2 things. One is exercise, which is running 2 or 3 times a week. There are some great routes that are near to where we're sitting now, which take you up very steep hills and then take you on a really nice jogging track, and then you can run down to a place called Happy Valley and run around the race course there, and then back to my flat, which is close to here, and that's a 10k run. And unfortunately, because I'm a dinosaur, I can't get below an hour, although I can get below an hour running 10k back in the UK, but the hills are too steep, so I'm just over an hour, which I'm not proud about. But I do that regularly. I find it not only helps me to eat and drink what on earth I like, which is great because I like food, it also is really good for my mental health. Getting out on my bike, running, being outside, great for my mental health, because I think if I didn't have that time, I would struggle. So I make the time to do it. And then I have a little guilty pleasure, which is just around the corner from here, is a really, really quiet, friendly little bar called Hoppy Junction. There's a guy called Dennis, runs the bar, and a lady who, when I walk past, always goes, "Hello, Mr. Paul," which is so nice. And they serve locally brewed beers. My son, back in London, is assistant manager of a brew pub. It's not all about the alcohol, I promise you. It's about, I promise you, it's actually about drinking really nice, a small amount of really, really nice, well-crafted beer. And I go maybe once or twice a week to Hoppy Junction and have one drink and ask Dennis, the guy that runs the place, I say, "Dennis, what have you got that's new this week? What do you think I'd like?" He brings the beer. I sit and drink have a quick chat with him, sit and enjoy my beer, think about life and the world, and then go and get something to eat, which is usually beef brisket curry in Causeway Bay on Morrison Hill Road. There's a lovely lady called Anita that serves me at a place called SKM, local restaurant. That's my life. I don't get out much. That's my life. And those are the things that sustain me through this time and through this relative isolation.
It's delightful to hear you're getting a lifestyle here in Hong Kong.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, and there's a Marks and Spencer's
Just
food
opposite.
shop just over the road. So if I want some home cooking, it's not really home cooking, but you know, I can always go there. Yeah.
Well, we also got a comment from Judy Low in Hong Kong. She says, thank you for the music and everything.
Pleasure. Thanks, Judy.
Well, we had some very, very good times today to have two remarkable musicians here on our panel.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you
for
very
making the
much
time
for
to be
having
with
me
us.
here.
It's a real honour to sit in your presence. Vivian's really smart, isn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I can
Yeah.
tell you that she has been my mentor.
Yeah,
when I was
gosh,
young.
I'm so looking forward to sitting with you and reviewing the videos, because I think the combination of your conducting experience and my singing experience will go together for us to work as a team
Truly,
really nicely.
truly.
And thanks very much for having me in this very first Paul Phoenix Academy Festival.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, if you'd like to know more about the Paul Phoenix Academy First Anniversary Online Music Festival, you could go to our website, which will show our code on our screen now. So you could just take a screenshot or with your phone, take a photo, and we also will show you our YouTube channel, which will put up videos quite regularly.
Please
recently.
subscribe to that.
Yeah, please
Yeah.
subscribe and like our videos. We're putting up more practice tips for the music festival. We're grateful to have Paul sharing his experience and sharing some useful hints in achieving a better performance. And we are going to also show you the Facebook QR code as well. So on this note, let me invite you once again, like our pages. I've just left Vivian Ip's Facebook page on our comment section as well. Please go to our page and like and share.
Stay in touch,
Yeah,
please.
and we'll stay in touch. Really, we'll see each other very, very soon. So thank you very much for joining us tonight or today, depending on
Wherever you are,
Yeah,
wherever you are, stay safe, healthy,
Yeah, take
and
care.
socially distant.
Oh, yes. Thank you so much.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.